And our next guest is the founding partner of Guyger Peros LLC. He is the lawyer that other lawyers hire when it really matters. Scott Guyger has a passion for the art of trial advocacy and corporate representation that's almost as animated as his inspirational speaking engagements. He's a nationally renowned attorney that has received nationwide recognition for handling a variety of legal issues at the state, federal, and Supreme Court levels. He's also co-hosted, appeared on numerous television, radio broadcasts covering legal, motivation, and ethical issues. He is Scott Guyger, and he joins us here this morning on WSBA. Scott, it's great to have you on. Good morning to you.
Hey, how you doing, pal?
I am doing very well, and wanted to talk about this Amber Guyger verdict in Texas yesterday. She's found guilty of murder. This is the lady who went into the wrong home in her apartment, went into the home above her, and saw this guy sitting there eating ice cream, watching football, and ends up shooting him, thinking she's in her apartment. Well, it turns out she was not. And yesterday, the verdict not only was that, or 2 days ago, was murder, but also yesterday, the sentence came down of 10 years. She will be eligible for parole in 5. She could have gotten as little amount as 5 years or up to a 99. So what was your take on this whole case, Scott?
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
This lady, who was a police officer, parked her car on the floor above. She was relatively new to this apartment complex, and she walked down the hallway, was apparently texting with her former lover, who was her partner, her police partner, who was married, so that didn't help her, and perhaps she was distracted. She failed to notice a skylight, didn't notice this giant neon red doormat that was at the doorway. She goes to enter the door. The door's ajar. She enters, sees a large African-American man who's eating ice cream, and shoots him. And one has to ask yourself, what happened here, and should she have been held responsible? And in this particular case, Texas, which is similar to Florida, has something called the castle doctrine, which is the idea that your house is your castle, your home is your castle, and you can defend it even with lethal force, if you believe that somebody is coming at you who is exercising what could be lethal force directed towards you.
Right.
Now, what's interesting about this case is she wasn't in her home, but thought she was in her home. And so there's another special instruction that she was given by the judge in Texas, which I thought was a mistake when they gave it, but she gave an instruction called the mistake of fact defense, and that is if you believe that you're in your apartment reasonably, then you can use that kind of force that somebody who was applying the castle doctrine could. Now, that's amazing, and they suggested that you could be acquitted just because of that. Nonetheless, the jury convicted her of murder and sentenced her to the 10 years. So it was really a difficult case for both sides, but I can tell you that when she dialed 911 after she shot this individual, she did not render aid to him, but rather just continued to say, I thought I was in my apartment. She did not say on the 911 call, interestingly enough, oh, my God, I thought the guy was coming to kill me, or I thought he had a gun in his hand. She basically, while she was dialing 911, was text messaging her partner and saying to him, hurry up, come over, I effed up. And she said on the 911 call that she screwed up, but she did not give that kind of indication, so you can see the problems that she had.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, as you mentioned earlier there, trying to make the case that you somehow have the right in the castle doctrine or the other right to, even if you think you're in your home, but you're really not, you have the right to defend yourself, it didn't play well. I mean, it just didn't. It kind of fell like with a thud, didn't it?
Yes, and I'll tell you, it sounds reasonable if you're thinking of this doctrine that if somebody came into your house and was going to kill your family, that you could use a gun, and shoot that person back to defend yourself, and you don't have to cower and run away and hide underneath your bed. in this particular case, she's a police officer. When she sees the doors ajar, hit your mic and get back up. You
Right.
don't need to enter that home. Or when you open the door and you see that somebody's there, what do you think she's going to do? Kill you with the spoon? Throw the ice cream at you?
Right.
I mean, you could have backed out. And also, she could have known that this wasn't her home. Not only the giant neon doormat, but she didn't have a 60-inch TV. There was a missing table there. I mean, it's just troubling to think about that. And I think that the verdict was absolutely correct. Interesting enough, I was a commentator on this court TV type show, and I was predicting she would be convicted of murder, and so many of the guests were saying, "Oh no, you're wrong, and it's ridiculous, and she'll never be convicted." So, I think it was a just result.
We're talking with Scott Guyger, who's the founding partner of Guyger Perilous LLC. Scott, the racial aspect that goes into this. The Dallas Police Department and some of color in the community have had some, back and forth tension for a while. But I was reading this morning. I mean, yesterday, Brant Jean, for example, the brother of both of them, Jean, the guy who was killed, came up and hugged her, asked permission to the judge to come up and hug Megan Guyger, which he does, and basically forgave her. And then we see the judge come down and hand her a Bible and pray with her and say she wants the best for her and that she, could be out in 5 years on probation. I was reading the social media reactions to this, Scott. I was amazed at how many people were furious by this action yesterday and saying, well, white people don't show the same kind of compassion to black people when they commit a crime, but black people do it all the time. We saw it in South Carolina and Dylan Roof and all that kind of stuff. What was your take on all that as you saw this all coming down?
Sure. I don't think this was a race-based crime. I don't think there's any evidence for that, but I understand the way social media and the public works, how they contort everything into a racial thing because that's sort of the power play and that gets you the attention in the media. The reality was the evidence doesn't show that she had any race-based motive. Having said that, you can't deny the fact that there are problems across the country with certain individuals who have racial type of biases. And I think that what happened there in terms of the individual Boffin's brother coming up to her is really remarkable. It's a tremendous thing. And instead of complaining about race, we should be marveling that people can rise to the level of compassion, that they would forgive somebody for killing their brother and just be happy about that and hope that that sends a nice message that there are people who are capable of forgiving even the most heinous of crimes.
Scott, I appreciate you joining us this morning and your insights on this. Thank you so very much.
Hey, have a great day, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Take care. Scott Guyger with us here on WSBA Morning News.